That's great.
All right.
Jimmy, what is that beside you, Jimmy?
This is a signed football by Dan Marino. I just got a couple packages to my house. We have our event on Tuesday coming up, and Dan was nice enough to sign some footballs and send it to us to give out to partners and attendees. So we'll be giving these out on Tuesday live during the event. Very excited.
I'm going to have to post a link, guys, to the event there in the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
That's marvelous.
I had a big box of them, and I live in a smaller New York City apartment, and I'm going to be out of town this weekend, and my wife, my significant other and roommate says, "So you're going to take your big box of footballs with you, or are you just going to leave that in the living room for me all weekend?"
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's exciting. And over here in Ireland now, we'd obviously be aware of the NFL, but also probably more aware of Dan Marino's acting.
Laces out.
Yeah. That's right. Jimmy, and as you know, I'm sort of running on battery here, sort of a power outage in the house, so it might come in and out. But one of the things,
JP, we know how to handle crisis. That's for sure.
I'm
no worries there.
Yeah. We actually had, frankly, a real crisis last week in Ireland. There was a significant ransomware attack where the Irish Health Service was ransomed. It's well publicised in the media. But you know what, Jimmy, and we'll introduce Sati in a second. One of the things that's really come to mind now, obviously, the pace and the tempo of these incidents, like when you solar winds the back end of last year, and we on these calls we were chatting about it a little bit, and it just sort of came home a little bit around the significance of it, the fact that in this case healthcare can be so badly compromised. In the US, you had the pipeline issue, which again, pretty much brought to a halt a lot of the movement of those goods around the country, and had a big impact as well on infrastructure. So we're sort of very mindful of that, Jimmy, I guess. And Satya, who's on the call, and I've actually I just shared the link with Satya. Hey, will you jump on for a few minutes? He has no idea. I'm sorry, Satya, what this is. But again, we're sharing with our MSP community, Satya, some thoughts and commentary around things like those attacks we've seen, and we've seen an increase. It would be great, Satya, if you wouldn't mind for a second, a little bit about yourself and your background, and then what you do in Scout and how you support customers. So just for everybody who doesn't know, and it'd be great to give that little context. And Jimmy and I'll chip in there.
Sure, JP. Thank you. Hi, all. So I'm Satya. I have overall 17 years of experience into cybersecurity operations. So I worked previously with Deloitte, FI Networks, and Verizon into cybersecurity operations. Now I'm working in Ireland as a senior incident analyst for Scout cybersecurity operations. So I specifically work on improving and fine-tuning the cybersecurity rules for detecting any kind of incidents, and also work on threat hunting, and specifically handling the malware incidents whenever we have breach or ransomware incidents. So this is my daily job.
That's great. And I was
busy these days.
Yeah.
Daily, yeah.
And Satya, when you think about the last week or so, at a very high level, what are the key things you're seeing, and for people who are tuning in, particularly MSPs, what should they be very mindful of, do you think? Particularly, yeah.
So specifically, like recent incident which we have in Ireland for the health industry, the ransomware incident. So one thing I had been seeing is people are scared because the ransomware incident is in Ireland. But just as to our knowledge, this ransomware has been in the market for many years, right? So they had been not careful. The bad thing is like health industry, which had been compromised, had very old Windows operating system, which is actually not supported by Microsoft. They do not have antivirus, which shows that they do not have proper security plan or security monitoring in place. So that is the main thing lagging on. So many of the customers which we had been reviewing for the past 2 weeks, they had been very much scared seeing this particular incident because entire systems are encrypted and they were unable to work on take any new appointments for the patients. So I had been going through all the customers we have in Europe, and we could see that there are one or two loopholes which they had been leaving it. Specifically to this ransomware incident, if you see, these ransomware incidents specifically concentrate on the RDP open ports towards internet or SMB ports. So which is very much favorite for the attackers to get inside utilizing these ports. So apart from this one, software vulnerabilities which are available on the web servers. That is one of the key thing the customers should stay top on that one. And they should not enable any admin level access for all the users, because if the attacker compromises the laptop or any kind of device of the particular employee, then he will be able to install the malware. Third thing is phishing. So everybody has Outlook or some kind of email client, but main thing that is missing is the Scout, which provides the Inky one. So like that kind of protection, most of the customers doesn't have. So I recommend to have Inky kind of protection, because it actually rewrites any kind of malicious link if a phishing link comes in and the user is not aware what it is and he clicks that one. Then a malware or a dropper downloads. So this could create a disaster. So to overcome that one, I recommended many of my customers to have Inky, so that it will protect them from any kind of malware links or any kind of spoofing. Anybody is sending any link from outside. Even past 2 days back, we had worked on one incident where the email was spoofed, and customers were unable to identify what it is. So that's the reason actually I recommend to have a layered security approach to overcome these kind of issues. So ransomware or any kind of Trojan or malware, these are all not new into the market. They are very old. The only thing is they need to make sure that they have a layered approach to deal these kind of issues. Um, Anybody has any questions, or do you want me to go through the layered approach?
I think I'd like to talk like a little more general, and excuse me flaunting the football here. Like, how have you seen things change over the past, let's say like 5 years? And I'm trying to get a general sense. Have things been progressively getting a little worse, a little worse, a little worse? Because it feels like in the past 6 months, someone has just like put the gas pedal all the way down and the attacks have gone way up. Is that just how it seems because of the headlines, or like, how have you seen it change over the past couple of years?
So I could see that the attackers are much advanced than previously. So previously it was like they were using same indicators of compromise, due to which the old generation antivirus or firewalls were able to protect that one. So now the attackers are very much advanced, right? So advanced persistent threat groups are there, where they will not use any kind of same IP address, same hash values. So they use domain generation algorithm, which will generate n number of IPs, n number of domains. So it is useless for us to block any of these IPs which we detect. So it will not work out. So that's where actually many of the industries are failing. So all the industries should concentrate on doing more work on threat hunting. So what are the tools the attacker would be using? What are the tactics they would be using? What are the artifacts they would be using? Because an attacker can change the IP address and hash values, but not the tools and tactics. So he cannot change any mimic as tool. He cannot change any proc dump to grab the passwords. So the tools, if you concentrate if you prepare threat hunting queries on that one, we'll be able to catch the attacker if he's in our environment and moving laterally to the target to exfiltrate the data. So
can I ask you another more general question? Because I was thinking about it while you're talking, and totally putting you on the spot here. But like when we see these big attacks that happen, will identify them as a nation state sometimes, and will like pick which one it is. So you're saying hackers will change their IP addresses and try to do like, different proxies, literal or, the other use of the word, to evade who they are. But the techniques is something that they can't change. And, is that like how we're identifying things as nation states if they're not taking claim to it? I have trouble understanding how we say, oh, Russia was responsible for this or North Korea was responsible for this.
So basically, if we see whenever an attack happens, right, if we search that particular IP address or where the communication is coming from, we could clearly identify this particular IP address or whatever indicators of compromise we are getting. When we search on our threat intelligence database, we could see that this particular IP address is located to the Russia. This particular IP address is coming from China. That's how we can actually identify that this particular attack was happened from Russia. So we will gather all the threat intelligence database and we claim that. But publicly, like normal terrorists, these attackers cannot come forward and say that we did that attack, because even the cybersecurity laws are very much strong. You people know that very well. So even the ransomware attack that happened last week, even there is a cybersecurity law involved now. They are very much strictly searching for the attacker. So if he gets on, then he will be having very terrible things.
Yeah. Just to switch it up a gear, I have a question for actually Cormac. You're speaking with MSPs all day, every day, Cormac, I guess, and particularly in UK and Ireland. And what's the key, let's say, pain point, because again, MSPs themselves are, trying to help their end customers when you have this proliferation of attacks, and the market is getting a bit noisier around that space. What are the key areas you're hearing, Cormac, around, particularly with MSPs and how they're helping those customers?
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing the most is probably like business email compromise, ransomware is rampant, and MSPs traditionally, on top of selling like IT as a service, the demand now for selling cybersecurity as a service is really growing. When you think about how we look at the problem, establishing what you want to protect the most, building concentric rings of security around that data, but visibility into the network is becoming more and more important now, and visibility into critical log sources, into your information systems, and that's where really some MSPs struggle with, and where Scout helps.
And that's great, Cormac. That's great. Yeah, I'm trying to tie it back though a little bit to I know how we got from American football to ransomware to Jimmy. What's Rebound all about next week?
Rebound is our second digital event. Oops. I'm just moving around this football, knocking things over. It's our second digital event. It's all about building resiliency, leadership, and protecting your own business with cybersecurity. So we have a number of speakers. We have Dan Marino, obviously, as our keynote, but there's going to be some great other speakers there, including Art Coviello Jr., who was the CEO and chairman of RSA for a number of years. You've all probably heard of the RSA conference. And then we have some other great partners on, including Axient and LionGuard and Ninja RMM. And Ingram Micro as well. So we're really excited to have them all on and helping us serve this event. I'm doing a ton of interviews on it. I'm doing a ton of interludes. So, I've been
any surprises?
Oh, there's definitely going to be some surprises. We're going to have some surprise guests coming on. We're going to have some giveaways. Always surprises with me. You know that, JP.
I know that. Even a surprise to yourself. That's how quick it is. Well, that's great. Well, I think we're, as I say all the time, the 15 minutes is up. For me anyway, Jimmy, I want to wish everyone a happy Friday. Yeah. My power went, Jimmy, about an hour ago, as you know, and or whenever it was. And I knew the coffee chat was coming up. And I'm going to miss the coffee chat. I wasn't sure, so I'm running on battery now. If I was more disappointed that I couldn't join this, or I actually couldn't boil the kettle for coffee. So I've got one. But look, have a great weekend, everyone. And we look forward to that next week, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Back with the event. Yeah, tuning in.
Thanks everyone for joining again. See you back next week.